Hey, Christopher McClure. Welcome to the Shift Show, where we bring spirit to bear on trending issues. And today's topic is the ultimate shadow. Um, and just so you know, there is an associated blog, um, there is an associated song, there's an associated meme, and an associated Enneagram solution chart. And so I'll talk at the end, I'll talk about how you can find those. So yeah, the ultimate shadow. So this comes. Um, every Sunday morning, 10 a.m. my time, Mountain Standard, Mountain Daylight Time, I attend this. It's a Shambhala Zoom meditation, community meditation group, and it goes for about an hour. And this meditation group, especially the Tonglen practice time, is proving to be like a bed of epiphany for me. I tend to um, just get these insights about life and about shifting. You and this past week I was I was doing Tonglen and I realized I sort of I, I flashed on. I realized that I've developed this ability over the past year to, and it's from kind of being in a pressure cooker with my wife. We both work at home, and just dealing with all the mirroring and all the stuff that comes up around having that kind of mirroring and seeing the best. People say that the best way to get to know yourself is to be in relationship. um, so this ability to what I call drop to the bottom, and what that is that in relationship when we're getting mirrored so much, there is the opportunity. There is what comes into awareness is all the ways that I'm resisting the places in myself that I'm not really owning. That I'm kind of like choosing a narrower version of myself rather than going into these places. And I've over the last year I've realized that it's first of all it's an opportunity for growth, and it's really kind of turns out to be easier to just go through that. And I'm not saying that there isn't any pain involved, and it doesn't require courage, and you don't get you don't you're not forced to see parts of yourself that you'd rather not see. But in the long run, it's actually it's I don't know. I think it's more enjoyable than to live small and just say no. I'm just going to be this part, and I don't want to deal with that, and I want I don't want to open up into all of who I am. So anyway, that's how it came about, and so now I'm going to share my screen and show you this chart. This is the so if you've seen me use these, this is in the Enneagram. I call it the ancient Enneagram, and what I do with this ancient Enneagram, I call it ancient Enneagram solutions. It's a way of looking at issues in life, and gaining some insight. So the first thing, like always with these ancient Enneagrams, the first thing I do is I look at the triangle. I look at the polarity, and in this case, polarity is between wholeness and ego. And ego, ego is such an overused word. So I just want to define what I mean by ego. Ego it's like the operating system, and of the human body, and for the most part, ego it's an operating system that's limited to the body and the consciousness around the body, and not anything much broader than that. Or if if it goes broader, it's more kind of entertainment. But when when push comes to shove, it really comes down to how do I protect myself? How do I survive? So that's the polarity. And the third element here um, is surrender. Now, when I use the word surrender, I don't mean just like, oh, I'm going to just surrender. I'm just going to like give it all up. I don't mean that at all. I mean I mean something very specific, and very specific in the moment. So in other words, if I'm having some interaction with my wife and I realize that um, the way she is being is it seems kind of frivolous to me. um, and what it brings up in me, it brings up this kind of irritation and judgment, and so if I actually like, okay, here it is in me, breathe into it. And Tong Lin is an excellent way of, in the moment, just like owning the parts of ourselves that we are resisting or defending, resisting or defending. Uh, and I can actually feel that part of me, and I will probably realize that, oh, I'm not allowing myself to be very playful. I feel like I really, you know, got to stick to the regimen. I've got work to do, and and so the way she's being is just it's an irritation to me because I'm denying that in myself. So that's a very specific surrender, you know. Um, so in the ancient enneagram here, we have these points on the triangle, and actually the ego is actually these are the ways that the ego are being defined in this case, which is resistance, which is that's what's happening inside me. I'm resisting these parts of myself, right? And then I'm just using the word defensiveness to refer to, it's a resistance to something from without, from a person or some event. Maybe I break a dish when I'm doing dishes, and it kind of cues into something that's inside of myself that that I'm denying, and so I need to surrender to that thing that I'm resisting. So there's the ego, and then the surrender here is actually being defined by this point 4 and point 5, and in this case vulnerability. So when I actually stop projecting out that there's something in the world that that my wife is like, she's just she's too flighty, um, that I have to become vulnerable in myself, that it's not out there, it's actually right here, and I've got to accept this thing that's in myself. And when I do that, it brings there's a sense of humility, like I just have to, like, it's just this kind of universal sighing, just like I'm I thought that my pumped up version was something that could actually um, get me through my life and get me the things that I want. And when we come up against how what's inside of us is limiting what's happening outside, it is humbling. It's just like there's a settling, a dropping into the wholeness of what I am. And when that happens, there is it's the sobriety is the word. It's like it's sobering. It's like, oh, so all I thought I was superhuman, or I thought I was like really cool, or it's just like, no, you're just like human here, and there's these feelings that are coming through you that really need to be felt, because they represent parts of yourself that you're denying, And but what happens when we do that, when we drop in and we allow these things that are trying to be um, to exist, that we're our ego is trying to, like, reject, not have exist. There's a friendliness that happens with ourselves, um, and it's the Tibetan Buddhists have a word for that. It's called Maitri, Maitri, Maitri. Um, but that when you have a friendliness to those things in yourself, then you have a friendliness to those things in others. So that it's a friendliness with the world. Um, so yeah, that's the basic chart there. So I'm going to stop my share, and uh, so so how does this relate to the ultimate shadow? Um, so as what I was realizing in this when I was sitting with this group was that, oh, and when I really drop down, like what's there when if I just keep dropping into my wholeness, um, which I realized um, was a pretty cool realization, was that my I didn't realize it then. I realized it during the week, that my wholeness is actually it's something that can't be broken. It's like it is my wholeness is a collection of all my brokenness. But when I don't identify with all the pieces of my brokenness and identify with the whole with my wholeness, then it's not broken. It's like, oh, it's the whole thing. It's right here, and it's only when I'm like looking from this part to this part, you know, that it appears to be broken. But when I actually, you know, um, allow and drop into my wholeness, like what when I if I go all the way down to the bottom, what's there? What's the bedrock? And it's like, so there's all these things that I don't want to face in myself. Um, there's the one definition of that in psychology is it's shadow. It's the unknown parts of ourselves that we don't want to face, and so it becomes shadow. It becomes something that's operating, but it's not, we're not aware of it. you know and so you know if we drop down all the way, what do we get to? Which is, what is the thing that is keeping us from being all of who we are, or and for me that would be the entire universe, because I do feel like human beings are like the one species on this planet that has the ability to identify with everything, with the whole universe. And so what is that thing that's keeping us from that ultimate wholeness? And it's the ultimate shadow. And I mean, I think I'm not. I think this can be different, for everyone. I think it could be a sense of worthlessness. That when you get so, when you drop all sense of self and any kind of puffed upness, any kind of like competence, or um, it's like we just get down to um, this level of worthlessness. But what's below that level of worthlessness, which is, if we're the whole universe, then it's like, of course we have worth. And so it's that ultimate shadow, that ultimate shadow that is, um, that is that is what we're headed towards. And what it's blocking is the absolute, basically that from which everything comes. Yeah. So that's the basic idea. That's why I've called it the ultimate shadow. And you could subtitle it uh, dropping to the bottom. And so I encourage you to become aware of those things that you're resisting in yourself, or that you find you're defending, from some external prompt, like a person, or an event. And Tong Lin is a good, tool for doing that. And the basic idea there is, and I guess I want to qualify this. Now, actually, let me see. Do I want to? Yeah, I don't want to give instruction for Tonglen, because Tonglen is a practice that's um, comes after doing another practice, which is shamatha vipassana, which I will just briefly say what that is, which is just focusing on the out breath. You just focus on the out breath, and when that gets built up, um, then you can begin Tonglen. And so, if anybody is interested more about that, I will put links about that in where training regarding that in the comments, and I will also put like I said, there's a song, and I will put the lyrics in the blog, which is a Medium on Medium. It's called I'm on Medium. I'm called the Metaphysical Mechanic, and the name of the blog is The Ultimate Shadow, and I will put also a link to the song in the blog, and there will be a meme, an image associated with this, The Ultimate Shadow. And chances are I'm going to put the chart that you saw. I'm going to put the chart, on in the meme. Will be like a kind of an art piece, where the chart is transparent. So just the structure and the words come through, and then the image behind shows. And that I also put a link to where you can get those charts. And yeah, I think that's the whole thing. So thanks for joining me today. This has been Welcome to the Shift Show, and the title has been The Ultimate Shadow.